Hey! Jackass, you're ruining the show here.
Ah, what a shame.
Sully!
I really can't leave you alone for a minute.
Oh, man, am I glad to see you.
How you doing, kid?
I'm doing just great.
So, had to grease a few palms. Did go through the rest of your money, and a good chunk of my own, but hey. Jesus, you stink.
Yeah, not half as bad as that cigar. Hey, how'd you find me?
Well, a friend of yours asked for my help.
Hello, Nate.
Oh, no.
Now, wait a second.
Sully, kick her out and shut the door. We're safer in here.
Just wait a goddamn minute. Hear her out.
Thank you, Victor.
Hey, no offense, Sully, but you're not exactly the best judge of character, especially when it comes to women.
Fair enough. All the same.
Hello and welcome to episode 15 of the video game podcast, PlayStation Pals. I'm your host, Nick, and I'm joined by the 2B to my 9S, John.
Ah, man, after my own heart. I can tell this is going to be our best episode yet already.
I'm glad your spirit is up on what feels like a very slow week in games.
Yes. Yeah, it's taken a lot to bring the energy today, so I think you nailed the character intro there, so well done.
Good. Just to ask, do you have any plans to play the Call of Duty beta, Modern Warfare 2 beta this weekend? It is open for all PlayStation users.
Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, I haven't really been into Call of Duty, as we've talked about, in a while, and so, you know, with as we'll talk about in this podcast, with the limited time of a gaming father, you know, I have to be very selective and choosy, I think, with the things I play. So, no, I may get the full game when it releases, depending on my friend who I used to play with back in college. But that's probably the extent of my Call of Duty adventures for at least this year.
Okay, fair enough. I might check it out if I have some time. Just download it and see what it feels like.
Download all probably 400 gigs of it or whatever it's gonna be.
Delete all my games. Download one
stop
Call
it.
of
You have
Duty.
what, 2 games installed on your PS5?
4.
Oh. Look at the big pants on Nick. Oh, man.
I run a tight ship on my PS5. You know, if I'm not playing you, you're not on there. So.
Man who knows what he wants. I respect it.
All right, so let's move into the format of the show. This is how it works. We each bring 3 things to talk about. It can be a video game we're playing, a news item, a topic we feel like talking about, an email to PlayStationPalsPod@gmail.com, or Twitter DMs to PSPalsPod. Any of those things, we feel like talking about it. It's an open format, and we'll bring it. So I'm going to kick John, look out behind you. It's another conference. Oh, my God. Oh, boy. I got scared there for a second.
You legit got me. Oh, my God.
I may have to get my eyes checked because it was not a shitty conference. Thank God.
Oh.
It's a mini boss, a shitty announcement.
Oh, good. Hooray.
That announcement being that we are getting an Iron Man game from Electronic Arts and Motive Studio. Motive, who is currently working on that Dead Space remake, who previously did Star Wars Squadrons and helped DICE with Star Wars Battlefront 2. They just randomly announced this on Twitter that their next game will be an Iron Man game in collaboration with Marvel. John, why was this not at the Marvel and Disney showcase?
I don't know, because the industry has collectively decided that they don't want anybody to have good conferences and one-up each other again. I have no idea, dude.
Yeah, why now? Why not at the showcase? I know all they apparently have to say is a Twitter announcement. They don't have a trailer or anything. It's just an image of Iron Man.
I mean, that's on par with the Captain America game that doesn't even have a name.
Yes. Boy, everyone is just so excited to work with Lucasfilm on anything that, you know, you got Ubisoft working on that Star Wars game. You got Machine Games and Bethesda working on Indiana Jones games. They just like to announce that they're doing these things, but no title, no release date. Just like, oh, we're working with them. We got this property. and we're so excited.
Is this a LucasArts thing? Iron Man?
Oh, well, I just kind of loop them in because it's all Disney, you know.
Gotcha.
So,
well, I think you can probably include LucasArts, you know, parallel to Marvel games too. As if there's any studio that even gets a whiff of that Marvel money, they're going to say, hey, we're doing this, just to you know, to get as much eyeballs on them as possible, for sure.
Right. It's the only thing I can think of is it's like a recruitment effort. It's like, hey, you want to work at Motive? Our next game's Iron Man. You know, we haven't released Dead Space yet, but let's talk about our next game, and we want you working on it, so let's just get it out there. That's what we're doing. And that kind of leads me into my next question is, are you kind of bummed that they're not going to be working on a proper Dead Space after this Dead Space remake that's coming out in January?
Oh, yeah. Very bummed. For many reasons. I believe I've explained my Marvel feelings on this show, and it's getting worse and worse every day. I like Marvel. I think they make fine things. I cannot believe how inundated we are with Marvel properties from every medium now, and I'm praying that we don't see what is going on. And I know we have differing opinions here, Nick, and we can talk about it, but I pray that we don't see what's going on in the movie industry right now bleed into the video game space. And it sure seems like it's going to, because you know, every single property, every big budget thing, every, you know, large announcement from these companies seems to be tied to something. And I mean, Iron Man, like, Iron Man's sweet. People love Iron Man. He's a cool character. You know, Robert Downey Jr. did that character great. You know, did him very, very well. So I understand the appeal with him. But this is 2022. We've killed Iron Man. Iron Man is dead. There's been 3 movies dating all the way back to 2008. And so it's just like, what are we doing? Do you guys not have an original idea for a story? Mm-hmm. Or did you have an original idea for a story and decided to put an Iron Man skin on it just to make it sell more copies? And that's my problem with a lot of this stuff right now, is it seems like companies are, you know, creatively bankrupt. I know I'm playing Far Cry 6, as some people have told me last week after I went on this rant. I know that is a very, you know, meat and potatoes game, but it just seems like the creatives out there, these people who, you know, work on these games and, you know, are the ones shepherding us, you know, to find the next great IP, to give me my next Nathan Drake, my next, you know, Infamous game, whatever the new Ghost of Tsushima. There's so many things out there that we can get to, and I just worry that we're getting into this space where everything is going to be Marvel or Star Wars. If it's not going to sell. So what do? We do the safe thing and put all the money behind, you know, the big property that we know is going to do it. So, yeah, sorry. I'm not too excited. You know, in Dead Space, right? Dead Space, going back to your original question, Dead Space, one of my favorite games I've ever played, quite honestly. The more and more I think about it, and the fact that it's getting remade is awesome. I would just hope that, you know, I would hope that Motive, you know, if they do a good job, if it sells well, it's critically received well, you know, why wouldn't they either go on to Dead Space 2 or potentially reboot the franchise with a new vision, whatever the case may be. That seems to be the typical, you know, cadence to these kind of things. So to tell that team that already, before they've even shipped that game, that they're going to be moving on to something entirely different is a little strange to me. But you know, I don't know what the long-term plans are there.
Yeah, it's a bummer because, yeah, we both love Dead Space, and we thought that the remake might give credence to them working on more, because what they've shown so far, the game looks pretty good. It looks really good at this point. And then to go to, you know, I don't mind people doing Marvel, but when they're going to do the most risk-averse character, as you said, that's been so oversaturated, not only in movies, but in games too, because he's in Marvel's Avengers. I've played Iron Man this year. Right. You know, it's just, what can they do with the property that's going to make it interesting? And I wonder if this has a lot to do with, again, risk adverse, like because they already have a Iron Man simulator engine in Frostbite that did the game Anthem, which was all about a bunch of different Iron Man suits, in quotes. You know,
and that was by far the best part of that game, from what I heard. I never touched it, but they said the flying actually felt pretty good. So. Yeah,
so if the plan is you know, they haven't said what engine they're using, but I would bet that I wouldn't be shocked if it's this Frostbite engine and it's using a lot of the work that went into Anthem, which was a commercial flop for Electronic Arts and BioWare, who made the game. That they kind of, hey, let's hedge our bets and put this all into this new Iron Man game, because all the engines there, the tech's there, a lot of the assets. So, but yeah, I'm with you. What a risk-adverse choice, and what a bummer. Not only from the fact that Dead Space won't be their next game, a new title in that franchise, but also they have to pick the most boring Marvel character on top of that.
Yeah, it's just, I'm not against superhero games. I mean, I can't think of a group of characters that lend themselves better to video games, right? Everybody wants to have superpowers. Everybody wants to, be a, Spider-Man or whatever the case. But it's just there, as we're seeing with all these, Moon Knight shows and She-Hulk, there's a crazy amount of characters out there, and I think no matter what, these types of games will sell. So give us something new, man. Give us something crazy. I think, Insomniac choosing Wolverine is a step in the right direction, right?
Mm-hmm.
The X-Men have been gone for a while. We haven't been saturated crazy with those characters in the movie space for the last 15 years. So to see, a beloved character come back and kind of allow them to, get people excited by showing this character that, everybody loves Wolverine, but we don't get a lot of him. So, even if they, I don't know, I don't know superheroes as well as you, but Moon Knight could be a good choice, because then you can lean also into the narrative / maybe more investigative side of it, where you're playing as I believe his name was Mark in the show, if my memory serves me correct, where you're kind of doing the investigation Egypt side things and weaving in this narrative, and then when you want to go into combat, you dress up as Moon Knight. Like I don't even know if that's a good idea or not. It's just I don't want to beat a dead horse, but give us something new, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically a Batman Arkham game. Like, Moon Knight is pretty much the Marvel version of Batman as far as abilities, but he also has the schizophrenia and the multiple personalities, which lead to different versions of Moon Knight. That translates pretty incredibly well to a video game. Yeah. So that would have been much more exciting. And I wonder if it's just maybe it's just the play for everyone to try and lock down the best heroes, right? Now you won't see an Iron Man game from Insomniac or any other studio, so it's now Iron Man's the Electronic Arts property. But
yeah, this is the next phase of the mergers and acquisition craziness that we've been dealing with. People are now going to start buying up individual Marvel properties to make sure that they have them locked down through 2045. God.
Yep. This is exciting times.
Yeah. I mean,
the game could be good.
It probably will, and that's almost what is frustrating about it. quite honestly, because I don't know, man. I miss the good old days with video games where had the ability to kind of really surprise you, and it's just okay, what's this going to be? Well, it's going to be third person. Okay, yeah. You'll probably get to shoot. You'll get to change your weapons with your your suit. Okay, you got rockets, you got lasers, you fly. He's going to be snarky. He's going to have quips all over the place. And, yeah, that's it. So I would be shocked if it's anything other than that. But I'll stop.
Maybe they'll get Nolan North back, too, to play him.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. It's going to be Nolan North and Troy Baker, and then they'll get Laura Bailey to play Pepper Potts. And, and they'll get, and then I could, and they'll get, what's the name of the guy that plays Vision? What's his name? Paul Bettany?
Yeah.
They'll get him. He'll be the one guy that they get in to be the actual voice from, he'll be the actual voice. No, call it now.
All right. Well, yeah. So no shitty conference, but a shitty announcement. But we'll probably see this game in 3 to 4 years if we're lucky.
Yeah, that's probably a good bet. But,
all right, moving on.
Cool. So, I'll just kind of briefly here. It's been a very father-heavy week for me. So, my son's recently started kindergarten, and so I'm taking him every morning. I'm coming home from work, doing homework and stuff with him. The girls have been, especially my twin daughters that are 9 months old, have been a little bit fussy this past week. So I haven't had a lot of time to check out the video game spaces, at least as much as I would want to. But I haven't had at least a little bit of time to check out 2 different games that I've been wanting to check out for a while now. So wanted to at least kind of, say what my impressions are of them, and, then what might do something a little bit later to allow me to focus on one of these. But those 2 games are Chicory and Tales of Arise. So I'll start with Chicory because, Nick, I know you've been playing this a tiny bit as well, so we can kind of go with that. But this was a game that was provided on the PlayStation Extra tier on the 20th of this month. It's an indie game that was published last year by, let me check my notes, by Finji, which looks like to be a very small team, maybe 5, 6, 7 people. So, it's obviously an intimate passion project, and you can definitely tell, man. This game, it's... The basic concept of this game is you're kind of a master painter type dude who's inherited, or you're basically not a painter, but you've inherited this paintbrush that colors the world. And there's always somebody who is in charge of the paintbrush to kind of, I think there's an official term for it, but I can't recall. And all of a sudden, all the color is gone from the world. So, something happened to the person who was in charge of that brush. And you go out, you find the brush, and then you decide, okay, well, now I have the power, I have to figure out what's going on. And so you go through screen to screen, much like a Zelda Breath or Link to the Past, where, you kind of get to the edge of the screen, it shifts over, shows you the next thing. You get to the edge of the screen, shifts over, where you have these black and white tree house painted areas, and you can start to color in the area, which allows you to interact with the world in different ways. But what I think this game has done especially well so far, I've only probably put about an hour into it, is it's exceedingly charmful. It's, it's one of those games where you're just kind of smiling constantly, not really knowing why. You start the game, and Nick told me this one when he checked it out, and I thought that was pretty cute. Is it asks you what your favorite food is, without really any context. And so you type in whatever it is, and then you find out that that's the name of your character. And it's a tiny little thing, but it just kind of lends itself to allow a little bit of you into this character. And you start playing the game again. You can see the cutesy vibe of it all, but it's just charming, man. It has great audio design too. I was playing it with the 3D Pulse headset, and walking from one side of the screen to the other, you can really hear the footsteps go from one side to the other. You got the DualSense integration going through the controller as well. But there's just kind of something cathartic about going into a black and white room, and then to start coloring, tree trunks in, or foliage, or little houses here and there. It kind of does this thing where, if your cursor is inside of the parameters of, let's say, a tree trunk, and you hit the color button, it's just going to fill in that entire trunk immediately. Same thing goes with houses or other various things. If you're not inside any specific thing, you're going to be doing kind of some free coloring, and that's not so satisfying because it's just not very good to do with a controller. But the whole filling in of the different items I thought was actually pretty nice, because when you start to do that a lot, you'll be moving around the map, you'll be going from screen to screen, you'll be in a black and white world, black and white world, black and white world, and then boom, all of a sudden you're in a place where you're colored, and it just kind of hits you in a cool way. But I haven't really gotten any combat or anything like that. I know there's a lot of collectibles and things, but this just been a game that I've been wanting to check out for a while. It got an 88 Metacritic score last year, and kind of, I think, surprised everybody. And really happy that it made Extra, and definitely going to see it through. I don't know if I'm going to do it immediately or down the road, but yeah, I know you checked it out a little bit as well, Nick. What are kind of your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I'm through chapter 4 in the game, and I know you're not that far, but pretty much it works that you explore, get to a dungeon, you beat the dungeon, you get a new ability, and rinse and repeat. It is a very Zelda-like formula, but like as all the things that you mentioned, the game is just brimming with all the characters are adorable. All the side characters, they're all different animals, and they just are well animated and look great and are very funny. The writing is very funny, but it's also very serious too. Your character deals with a lot of self-doubt and depression about whether they should be the wielder of the paintbrush. So there's a really good story being told here. And as you mentioned, drawing with the controller can be very frustrating. I know you haven't done this yet, but a character asks you ask a character to draw you, and then the character's like, oh, I'll only do it if you draw me. And then they compare the drawings, and you're like, oh God.
I'll have my son do that for me.
Yeah, and you're asked quite a few times. Like you'll go to like a pizza shop, and he's like, "I need you to design my new logo," and you're like, "Oh."
Yeah, I did design my own shirt
Yes.
in the very beginning, and I started to do it like in earnest. We're like, okay, cool, I'm gonna. And then I think I ended up with just a black stripe down the middle, and I erased the middle part of it. I was like, that's fine. I don't care. I do not care.
But the adorable thing is that, of course, all the animals are like, "Oh my God, that's amazing! You did so
Right.
good!" And
Right, which added to how funny it was for me.
yeah. So I'm sure on PC you could do a lot better, but yeah, it is funny with trying to use the right stick or the touchpad. It's just I don't see how anyone's gonna make anything good looking on that. But
No, but that's not particularly the point. But it's pretty cute though.
yeah, it is very collectible heavy. I don't know if you've seen as much, but they are all over the place in this game. So I know platinums.
All I've seen
It's
are
gonna be-
cats.
Okay.
Is it all cats?
All cats, all trash that you find on the ground, all gifts, all the bigger gifts, which are different paintbrushes.
Okay.
And there's quite a bit. It's gonna be quite the effort to get that platinum. Probably.
Yeah,
I unlocked the ability to fast travel, so it probably won't be too bad, but it'll still probably be like you better listen to PlayStation Pals for 2 hours and then
yeah. Well, I
knock it
saw
out.
some walkthrough. I saw a YouTube walkthrough video, collectible video for it, and it was 2 57-minute videos. So I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, so
And so at that point, yeah, you're just pausing, go. So we'll see. But this I think would be a game, even though if I decided it wasn't worth it to get the platinum, then I want to see it to the end anyway.
Yeah.
So
That's where I'm at.
Yeah, for sure.
I did want to mention one weird thing, is that the PlayStation Plus extra version we get is the PS4 version. If you want to play the PS5 version, you still have to pay for it. It's $20. That's
what a bunch of horse shit.
I don't know what the real differences are, but it's just something weird that I noticed. I'm like, no, I don't want the PS4 version. I want that. Oh, you want me to pay for it?
That is lame.
Okay.
I mean, I know that there are some people out there that are very against, the $10 upgrade fee and Sony raising the prices of games to $70, which Ubisoft has now done as well. But I think it's just the reality we live in. That is kind of a shitty move, but at the end of the day, they gave us the game, which is what's most important. I wish they wouldn't nickel and dime quite that bad, because that who really cares? If we have the PS4 or the PS5 version, it's just would garner a little bit of goodwill. But I can't imagine what would be different about the two games, except for maybe slightly faster loading times. That's the only thing I can maybe think of.
Right, smaller install size maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a weird thing. But yeah, a great game, and as I mentioned, I'm also planning on completing it and then going from there.
Cool. And then the other game that I've been checking out is Tales of Arise. This is a RPG that came out last year to pretty universal acclaim. It got an 87 on Metacritic, so it was something that I definitely wanted to play at some point. I do have a soft spot for JRPGs, or at least I used to. But this comes from Bandai Namco, and so far so good, man. I probably put about another hour or two into it. But right off the bat, you can tell the production value is very, very high. Like any anime / JRPG, you're going to get hit with the same things you always get hit with, which I know bugs you to no end, Nick, but, it is kind of just comes with the territory. Sometimes, main character that has amnesia, doesn't know where he comes from, blah, 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 meets person who obviously is going to change their life, and he's probably going to be the chosen one. I'm sure he will be. So it's got all that. But that aside, it's gorgeous. It does the thing that I really liked about Persona 5, where you kind of, you have your in-game graphics and cutscenes and things, but then also every once in a while it's going to cut to like a full-fledged fully animated, hand-drawn animation style that just looks really, really good. So, you're supplementing your story with that, where you can kind of, when you should be paying attention, when you need to, not look at your phone or anything. You're actually watching the story, which is nice. And then it has a lot of these little, I believe they call them plays, or I'm not sure what it is, but basically you'll get a little indicator on your screen to hit R1, which brings up some like comic book style narratives that they kind of just add context, add a little bit to the characters and how they interact with stuff. So, from everything I've heard, there is a great story there. I just hope it doesn't stay too long in the amnesia, I don't know what's going on land, and gets to be something that's a little bit more unique. But I think it will. And then I think this game, what it really excels at is its combat. I've never played a Tales game, but I've always been intrigued because it is the JRPG. It is a JRPG, but has active battling, which is not a very common thing in that space. You have Final Fantasy VII Remake, but other than that, when I think JRPGs, at least I think Persona turn-based, Final Fantasy turn-based. Final Fantasy X is my favorite one of all time. That's as turn-based as you can get, where the game will not move forward until you make a decision. So that's what I've been used to. So it's kind of nice to get into something different. And, it does a great job with adding, you have obviously your standard R1 attack, but then you can assign to triangle, circle, and X, you can assign what are called arts. And these are just, basically super abilities that kind of live off of a refresh meter, but a pretty quick one. So you can constantly, I'll hit triangle, which does like a rising attack, pops the enemy into the air. I can slash him a couple more times. Once I'm in the air, all my arts change to in-air arts, so really you can equip 6 at a time. And it really allows you to kind of play with it and find a combination that works for you. Then on top of the fact as well that, you're in a party system and you can hit some of the diagonal or the D-pad buttons to switch to, the female in your party who is more ranged gun attacks. And, it just kind of does that thing very well. But, it's going to scratch the itches that I want with JRPGs, which is finding more and more increasing better weapons and things like that, opening chests. It has I know this might seem weird to some people, but something in video games that always makes me feel comfy and always is nice for me is just a tight little mini map in the corner, and it does that really well where, you can kind of see with the layout of the area in front of you if there's like little areas tucked away in a corner or something that shoots off, or a little hidden path that you might have missed otherwise. And so it's just nice to kind of be able to go through it and just know that you're seeing the things you need to see. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of all I got to say so far. It is, spoiler alert for later in the podcast, we're going to figure out which game I want to see through right now. And this is definitely a contender. But this is another one. I bought the PS4 version, got a free upgrade to PS5, which was nice. So if it is something anybody's been wanting to check out as well, you can definitely do that. You can do that with Dying Light 2 as well. There's a lot of games out there that you can just do the free upgrade with, just usually not Sony games. So anything to say about this one, Nick? I know it's not...
Are you playing with the English voice or the Japanese?
Good question. So I have not yet decided. I started the game in Japanese because that's typically what I go towards. It fits the style, it fits this type of game, so it makes sense to me. And they do a really good job. I feel like the game is meant to be played in Japanese, but after about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I wanted to just see how the English was, if it was, one of those English dubs that just is fucking god-awful and you have to turn it off immediately, or if it was a little more nuanced, because I did, again, Final Fantasy X, I played in English, so I didn't know if maybe that would feel familiar as well, and it's pretty good on both sides. I honestly haven't made up my mind which way I would want to go through, because on one hand you got English, which is nice because I can look at what's happening on the screen a little bit more, absorb a lot more of the environments and things. I did notice with Japanese too, when you're not in a cutscene, the character will speak. There's characters on the street, and their dialogue pops up in the bottom left of the screen. So it's really hard when somebody's kind of talking at you and you're moving to like glance down, see what it says, glance back up. So there are actual, I think, limitations to the Japanese side, but I do enjoy some Japanese dialogue. So I don't know. I mean, if I do continue this, I will definitely update the audience. I'm probably leaning towards Japanese though. Okay,
I was just curious. Yeah, this has been a JRPG that's been on my radar too, because it looks fantastic. I've recently played 2 demos. Valkyrie Elysium and the Star Ocean demo, and the one thing that that they don't do very well is like the art design and the world is just so bland and lifeless that that I might as well just play this game if I even have the inkling to try to play either of those. So
yeah, dude, I'm looking at like a screenshot right now, and it's like this gorgeous, like pixely. He's got like his fire sword, and he's holding it out, and it like looks like it's breathing dragon fire in the back. It's really they definitely went hard on the visual side of things. So I'm hopeful. I think it's going to be a game. It's a game that the moment I popped it in, I knew it was what I wanted to be playing. I know we all kind of have those feelings sometimes. Similarly to how unfortunately I put down Cyberpunk and it just wasn't what I was feeling. You kind of just have to listen to those moods sometimes, and so hoping that it's something that sticks with me, because I have yet to this day been able to find a JRPG that quite captured my attention like Final Fantasy X did. So yeah, I'm hopeful.
Yeah, me too. I'm curious to hear more about it as you get further along. Because the one thing about JRPGs is they grind you down.
They sure do. They do.
So well, I'm curious if you do continue to play it, how you feel about that. So
sure.
All right. So moving on to kind of the big news of the weekend and the week. Over last weekend, a bunch of leaks happened with GTA 6. Someone uploaded about 90 clips of the game. The game is obviously still in development, so these clips don't look very polished. There are some UI tools in there, some developer tools in some of the videos. And I don't particularly pay attention to these things, but when Jason Schreier tweeted that he confirms that these leaks are not only real, but this is probably one of the biggest leaks of all time, that kind of got my attention. Mm-hmm. John, were you able to check out any of like the footage that's been in these leaks, or?
A tiny bit of it. I mean, I will admit, the moment I saw what the leaks were, I am kind of immediately wanted to, nope right out of there, because it's evident that it's not polished. It's so early in the stages mm-hmm. that it's what purpose would it be to even want to consume that stuff at this stage? I would much rather wait for a full blown out, unveiling that Rockstar wants mm-hmm. me to see, as opposed to what apparently some 17-year-old in the UK wanted us to all see. So I haven't checked out much of it, at least in terms of the content of the leak.
Right. Well, it is one of the. I mean, if you were to say, what do you think the internet's most anticipated video game is? I mean, it's Grand Theft Auto.
Not even close. I mean, Tears of the Kingdom could be close, but I think that's a much more niche thing. I mean, all you have to do is look at the sales of Grand Theft Auto 5, man.
Yeah,
that's all you have to do.
Right, and as we mentioned, Saints Row not satisfying that appetite. These clips
mm-hmm.
certainly did, because the game, what is there does look good. Like I said, it's not polished, but there's more nuance to it. Like in Red Dead Redemption 2, you could interact with every NPC. You could rob them, you could greet them, whatever. And this kind of has the same system. And even with when you get pulled over by cops just don't instantly shoot you like before. You can interact with them. They interact with you.
Ooh, that's cool.
And there's more of that level of detail, more interiors. The person goes into a strip club, all these things, and convenience stores, and that level of detail is really there. So the footage itself is exciting, and I'm like you. I don't really want to see it. I don't care. The leak does nothing for me. I mean, Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be, as we've talked about before, is going to be amazing, because they're dumping more money and more people into it than any other franchise, because it'll sell,
Oh yeah.
So,
it's going to be, I mean, I think the Grand Theft Auto 5 made $3 billion in like the first day or two. Something like, it's just, you think about that, man. Avengers Endgame, biggest movie of all time, made $2.8 billion over like, I don't know, a couple months. It's insane, the power of this franchise.
It was funny though, because of course the internet being the internet, and why, developers don't want to share early versions of their games is people started shitting on this. Like this game, we don't know when this game's coming out. It could come out a year from now. It could come out 2 years from now. And of course, the internet is like, this is what the game looks like. Oh, yeah. This looks like crap. And it's like, What?
Yeah, I saw a, like one of the internet cartoon, whatever you want to call them, where it was basically somebody going, hey, I have half of my house built, do you want to see? And then somebody goes, yeah. And then it's like what they expect. When it's like half, like literally if you took somebody's house and just cut it in half, where like half of it's furnished, wallpaper up, looks beautiful, and then just the other half isn't there. And then he's like, oh, this looks great. And then, it's like what it actually is it's just the frame of the house, right? It's we're halfway there, but it's just we're building the infrastructure, the bones, the pipings, the wiring, and that person going like, oh, you said you're halfway done. This looks like shit. And it's just, it's just that, yeah, not understanding the amount of, like, I can't even begin to wrap my head around the amount of work going into that game. So yeah, it's a little upsetting. I would like to say it's disappointing, but I totally expected the internet to react that way. It's going to be great. For me, the idea of it being as nuanced as Red Dead 2 scares me, because it's just I don't have that level of time anymore. I wish I did, but it's going to sell. Oh my God, it's going to sell so much, so many copies.
Well, again, we'll check back in 3 years when it comes out. So maybe your life will be more under control.
That's true. Yeah, here, Levi, you're 8 now. You can play this, right? Come play with Dad.
He'll definitely want to. That's for sure.
He'll definitely. Yep. I think. How old were you? Well, I guess you're. Not to date you, you're a little bit older than me, but how old were you when you played your first Grand Theft Auto game?
So I did play Grand Theft Auto 2. I don't know if that counts. I was very young at the time. I was definitely in elementary school.
Is there like swearing and stuff in that? Or I know it's top down, but...
I don't remember. I mean, the violence is there. You're still able to run people over and you shoot guns and stuff like that. And I just remember because I was a kid, there's a button for farting, so like
sweet.
But Grand Theft Auto 3, I don't remember. I probably was in middle school, but it would have been in that cusp. I would have been either late elementary school, and I don't think it had any effect on me, but I didn't realize what the franchise was at the time, so
I mean, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I didn't know you could, pull over prostitutes and have them give you oral like you can in Grand Theft Auto 5. So they didn't have strip clubs like they do in these, that were introduced in like Vice City and then, is in Grand Theft Auto 5. So there wasn't like, other than probably the language and the violence, there wasn't a lot you'd have to explain to me that goes on in these newer games, which is just Trevor alone in Grand Theft Auto 5. It's like sit down and talk about.
Think twice. Yeah. I played 3. I think I was 12 or 13, and so I wasn't wasn't a wee lad, but definitely probably shouldn't have been playing it. But it turned out okay.
Yeah. But back to the ugly graphics, it was nice to see the other gaming companies like rally around. I know Remedy showed early versions of Control, Guerrilla Games, and showed early versions of Horizon to show like, hey, this is what these games look like in development. Like they look absurd. Like the Sea of Thieves, Rare showed off Sea of Thieves, and it was all the characters were like giant beans. They were just they were all really goofy. So, like don't take what you see for anywhere near close a final product.
No, that game's gonna be bananas. I mean, the only thing I'm worried about with that game, I'm not worried about the graphical fidelities, the level of detail. I am a little worried about the writing, and that's just because the Hauser brothers are gone. I'm wondering. I'm wondering how they will do with that. But in terms of like how the game looks, how it plays, all the systems inside of it, nobody needs to worry about anything.
Right. Yeah. So that was kind of the big news. I think you're with me, John, that I don't think it's that big of news other than it is a massive leak. But I think as far as the story of Grand Theft Auto 6, it'll just be the tiniest bump in the road. So. Yeah. But, all right, that's it. So let's move on.
It's quiz time, everybody.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Yeah, Nick, are you excited? This
No.
is what happens when I have no time to play video games. I gotta figure out how to talk about stuff. So we're going to do a little bit of a quiz for you, my friend.
Oh boy.
We're gonna quiz you on Vladimir Putin's life. Are you ready? All right. First off, when was he born? No. We're gonna have a little fun here. I got a PlayStation quiz lined up for you, Nick, just to see how big of a PlayStation fan you are. And
Is it multiple choice?
there are some multiple choice. There are
Okay.
some not multiple choice.
Okay. This is a horrible thing to pull. We're recording on Friday, end of the week. This is the worst time to pull this on me. I gotta steal my brain.
It sounds like you're scared. It sounds like you're nervous. No, don't be worried, Nick. I don't think these are too bad.
All right, we'll see.
So
Let's
I
bring
got
it.
seven questions for you. All right, you ready?
All right.
All right. Question number 1. What year did the original PlayStation hit store shelves in the United States?
Oh man. Is
What
it
year?
97?
No, 1995.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it actually came out in December of '94 in Japan, and then came out September 9th, 1995 in the United States. Which is crazy, man. Isn't that nuts? Like, I was 6 years old when that thing came out. I can't wrap my because I feel like the Genesis was my console till I was like 12, but obviously not.
It's just crazy to think how far we've come. I mean, that's
Right.
I mean, that I know that it's over 20 years ago, but that's still incredible where video games have come and what a game looks like now. To look up any PS1 game,
Yeah,
look
we
up Final
just,
Fantasy 7.
Yeah, just passed the 27th anniversary in the United States. So
Yeah,
crazy
watch
stuff.
a video of Grand Theft Auto 2, as I previously brought up.
All right, question number 2, and I don't expect you to know this, but I think you can probably get it.
Okay.
In their first month, how many PlayStations did Sony sell? 30,000, 300,000, or 3 million?
PlayStation 1s?
Yes, 30,000, 300,000, or 3 million in their first month.
It's like the second option, the 300,000?
Ding, 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 ding. Yes, 300,000.
3 million seemed like an insane amount for that time.
Yeah, no, 3 million would be probably now,
Yeah.
when video games as big as it was. But back then in 1995, I don't think they were hitting that number.
And it was the first console, so it's unproven.
Right. Yeah. You wanna make
PlayStation
sure.
wasn't the brand it was. It is
Exactly.
now.
All right. So we're 1 of 2. Not bad.
Okay.
All right. What is the best-selling game for the PlayStation 1? Is it Final Fantasy VII, Tekken 3, or Gran Turismo?
I'm gonna say Gran Turismo.
Yeah, Gran Turismo. It was number 1 with just over or about 10.9 million copies. Final Fantasy VII was second, and then Tekken 3 was a little bit down the list, but I don't remember what 3 exactly was. But I wanted to just at least make it a little more, I think, notable because I think it was a Grand Theft Auto game, which just was weird.
I only got that because you had mentioned that when you talked about Gran Turismo 7 about how many
Oh,
it
it just
sold.
sells like nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. For whatever reason, I believe every PlayStation console, the number 1 seller, except for the PS4, was a Gran Turismo game, but I could be wrong. All right, so 2 of 3, not bad, Nick, not bad. Now,
All right.
you need to rank some stuff. All right, you ready?
Okay.
I want you to rank the consoles in total sales from PS1 to PS4. So in the total sales, you can start with, if you want to start with the lowest or start with the highest, I don't care, but rank them in total sales.
I'm gonna think it's PS2, PS4, PS3, PS1.
Almost. PS2, PS4, PS3. PS3
Okay.
is actually the lowest. But PlayStation 1's eked over, I think, about 100 million, and the PS3 was right about 90. So,
Okay.
Yeah, not bad.
Okay.
All right, you're almost there, Nick. You're almost there.
All right.
What is Sony's best-selling game ever? Bonus points if you can guess the number. All right, so I'll give you multiple choice. Actually, I'll give you crazy bonus points if you can get it off the top of your head if you want to just throw out a guess. But if not, I have 4 multiple choice questions for you, or answers.
You said Sony franchise?
What is Sony's best-selling game on their platforms? Specifically, their platforms.
I'm naming a game or a franchise?
A game, right? So like Call of Duty, for instance, right? It's not it's not going to be Call of Duty because all those sales are split across all the consoles. We don't have the specific number, but yeah.
Oh, so it can be even third party?
It can, yeah.
Okay.
But it's not. I'll give you a hint. It is not. Would you like the multiple choices?
Is it Grand Theft Auto 5?
That is third.
Okay.
Yep, 19.39 million.
Okay. Wow. That's pretty incredible that something else beat it. Is it a Modern Warfare 2?
Nope, not Call of Duty.
I don't. All right, give me the choices then.
All right, we got God of War 2018, Uncharted 4, Spider-Man, or Grand Theft Auto 5.
Oh boy, is it Spider-Man?
It is Spider-Man. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that game destroyed, and one of the biggest gets for Sony ever. Especially then they bought Insomniac for what, $200 million or whatever the hell they paid for it. It's crazy.
And you're getting mad at other studios for buying up the other Marvel properties.
I get it. No, I get it. I'm more mad at the players and consumers. That's who I'm mad at.
All right, fine. Don't buy Spider-Man 2. You can't buy Spider-Man 2.
Day one, baby. Day one. All right. Who is the current head of PlayStation Worldwide Studios?
Worldwide Studios. I don't know.
Herman Holst.
Okay.
Holst. Do you know what studio he was previously the head of?
No.
Gorilla. He was Gorilla's guy. And then I believe when Sean Layden left, they promoted Jim Ross and put Herman Holst in charge of the Worldwide Studios.
Okay.
All right. And one more question, Nick. You all right? You ready? Can you do one more?
Let's do it.
All right. Can you name any former PlayStation first-party studios?
Former.
There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them that I saw at least.
Oh, is Japan Studio considered?
Yeah, Japan Studio is considered. That's the most recent one. I mean, technically, they say they kind of absorbed into Asobi a bit, but that studio does not exist anymore. Can you name any others?
Oh, who did MotorStorm? I know they're...
Who did do MotorStorm, Nick? Who did?
I don't remember the studio's name, but...
That was Evolution.
Okay, and was it that one of them?
Evolution, yes. Evolution, they're also who did Drive Club. The other ones, we got Big...
Okay, hang on. Who did Starhawk and Warhawk?
Ooh, hold on. I don't know. I will look it up for you, though. We'll do some live checking.
Because I'm trying to think of all the big PS3 games that didn't make it.
I googled Starhawk and it went to Starhawk, the American author. It's some hippie-looking lady. Starhawk game. It says Santa Monica. Let me see. It says it was Lightbox Interactive in Santa Monica Studio. I wonder, was it maybe a second-party game? No,
maybe.
Published by Sony. I don't know. Yeah, Lightbox.
Okay. Then I'm trying to remember. Who did Folklore. That was another first-party game, but no, you can list them off. I'm trying to think of other franchises that have died.
Sure. Yeah, I don't really know many. Honestly, you did good just getting one, man. You got Big. We got Evolution, Gorilla Cambridge. I've never heard of this one. Incognito Entertainment. I've never heard of them. Japan Studio, Manchester Studio Liverpool, and Zipper Interactive. Zipper was probably the other one that you might have gotten. I believe they were the guys who did like SOCOM and stuff.
Oh, okay. Incognito did Warhawk. They did the first one.
That's weird that Starhawk was a different team then.
Huh, yeah.
Look at that. We're learning, bud. We're learning.
Yeah, and they did all the Twisted Metal since Black and on.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're only around 6 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
We did it, man. Let's see. So I think you did, 4 out of 7? 4 out of 7 on that one.
Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Well done, Nick. Well done.
Maybe I'll have to do one for you now next week.
That would only be fair, I guess.
All right. Well, let's keep moving on. Let's keep trucking along. Naughty Dog tweeted this, but it's not actually true just yet. They tweeted that Uncharted,
Thanks, Neil Druckmann.
the franchise, turned 15 years old this year, and it does, but not quite. Its actual birthday is November 19th. That is when Uncharted Drake's Fortune released all the way back in 2007. So I figured they tweeted it, and we haven't really talked about the Uncharted franchise on this show, and by November 19th, we will be so deep in God of War that I don't think there'll be air for anything else at that time. So I just wanted to talk about the franchise. It, again, started with Uncharted Drake's Fortune in 2007, and then they would go on to release Uncharted 2 Amongst Thieves in 2009, Uncharted 3 Drake's Deception in 2011, and then Uncharted 4 A Thief's End in 2016, and then Uncharted Lost Legacy in 2017. There have been a few other games in there by other studios, but I just wanted to get our thoughts on that. It also spawned a movie that came out last year starring Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberger?
That's his franchise, Mark Wahlberg.
I don't know if that was intentional or not, but I appreciate it either way.
It's funny, I wrote it down as Mark Wahlberger, so maybe I'm hungry at the end of Friday. But yeah, John, I wanted to get your thoughts on the franchise. I know when we ranked Sony Studios, you did rank Naughty Dog as number one, so I assume you do like this franchise very much so, because it's the only other franchise they've done besides The Last of Us. But yeah, what are your
recently at least?
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the Uncharted franchise and the 4.5 games that came from Naughty Dog?
I don't think it can be understated how important that series is to the health of PlayStation as we see it today. I think Uncharted 2 specifically is probably the game that set Sony on the course that they're still on today with their crazy focus on single-player narrative third-person shooting games, right? We've seen so many of those since this series, and yeah, I think top to bottom, man, these are just, incredible gaming experiences. It does so many things well, and mostly I would say narrative. The gameplay is good in my opinion. The shooting could be better, but when we think of Uncharted, we think of the characters. Nathan Drake is one of the most lovable protagonists that I have ever played in video games. He's basically Indiana Jones, right? But he has quips all over the place. He's smart. He's funny. He can obviously fight as well as the next guy can. And I think that you can't really ask for a better protagonist. I think Sully is the perfect. That should have been our intro today, the Sully to my Drake. He's the perfect
We've done it before.
Oh, shit. All right, fair. He's the perfect complement to Nathan. Keeps him a little grounded, kind of as a father figure to him. But, just growing with this franchise, starting from the first one in 2007, it's a good game, but it is not anywhere close to where the franchise eventually went to. And the fact that they came out with the second one and immediately knocked it out of the park, really just demands that franchise demands my attention now. Uncharted 3 was fantastic. Uncharted 4 was fantastic. Uncharted Lost Legacy was, it was good, but still, we're talking about a 9 out of 10 and not a 10. But I'm very curious to see where this franchise goes going forward. Without getting any spoilers, Uncharted 4 came out a while ago. You should play it if you haven't yet. But there's something at the end that kind of leads into what the future of Uncharted could be. So I'm curious to see what direction it does take, because it does seem like Nathan Drake is getting sunsetted. But again, man, I think that this franchise is why Sony views Naughty Dog as their crown jewel, why a lot of people such as myself view them as their crown jewel, and it also set the DNA in the bones for The Last of Us. I think that there's very few games out there that are similar to one another as Uncharted and Last of Us. Tonally they're completely different, but as on a gameplay standpoint, there's no denying that The Last of Us, took all of its cues from Uncharted. So I think we owe it a lot. I think that it will go down as one of the greatest gaming series of all time. And like I said, Uncharted 2 specifically was such an important game that, I don't know how else to say it.
Do you have a favorite game in the franchise?
Historically, I would say 2, but it is interesting. I haven't played. I played them when the Nathan Drake collection came out for PS4. I think 3 might be the better game, but I still just have the nostalgia for 2, and 4 is fucking awesome too. 4 is the evolution of all of it. It's just my problem with 4 is like, I feel like it's the first 6 or 7 chapters where you're literally not fighting. You're young Drake and you're just kind of exploring, and like that's cool, but I just remember when I was playing that game, I was like, let's get going. Come on, let's get going. Like I want to do stuff. But it probably is worth doing a replay of that game at some point if I can ever find the time. But I would probably, if you put a gun to my head, I would order them 2, 3, 4, 1 would be my ordering.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I think again everything you said is exact. I think the writing and the characters was what really made it differ from its Indiana Jones copycatness. Richard McGonagle as Sullivan, Emily Rose as Elena, and then obviously Nolan North as Drake. Just kind of breathed life into these characters that you can't help but smile when they're on screen.
I want to drink a beer with Nathan Drake. Like he's just like he's such a cool guy. You play that game and you're like, I wish I was as cool as Nathan Drake. I wish that I was as smooth as Nathan Drake, that I was as good with girls as Nathan Drake, that I went on adventures as Nathan Drake. He's just he's just a cool fucking guy, and really 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 likable.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he's almost a James Bond character, traveling the world, gorgeous women.
Silly James Bond, that's a good description.
Yeah, exactly. I've only played through each game once. Again, with Naughty Dog games, the endings of their games just can be the most frustrating part because they lead so heavy in the combat, and that's been like the weakest part of their games. Like I love the climbing, I love the platforming, but you put me in a firefight with 10 dudes, and some dudes have armor on, and they're chucking those annoying grenades at me. Yeah. I just can't do it. But I'm with you on everything you said. This defined not only Naughty Dog titles, but the DNA spread through everything that Sony does. Horizon, Spider-Man, it's all there. Yeah,
that's why I think like a new Uncharted game would be, I could see on somebody saying that they wouldn't get excited. We played all these before, but I would be especially excited because now that I've played The Last of Us 2 and I've seen the evolution of Naughty Dog's combat, integrating that into an Uncharted game would, I think, make it be, take it to the next level if that's even possible. But I really, really, really like those games. It is interesting, though. Like, whenever I think of my favorite games, I never think of Uncharted, and it's not until I'm actually in the game and playing that I'm having that I want to play them. I'm never like, oh man, I could go for some Uncharted right now. It's just like, nah, they're there. But then as soon as I'm playing, I'm like, well, I gotta keep going. I gotta get to the end of this. Like I gotta get to the train scene. I gotta get to the cargo plane. There's so many cool set pieces that you forget about until you're back into it, and you're like, oh yeah, this is the stuff.
Yeah, that's funny because I got my PS4 after Uncharted 4 had come out, and it was the same thing. Like it was off my radar, and then I was just like, oh, okay, I'll start this. Uncharted's a good franchise, and then it's like, oh, whoa, jumping from Jeep to Jeep and all this stuff, and you're just like, oh my god, and you just you can't put it down. It's a very
some of the most
engaging
cinematic
franchise.
shit you can get in games, man.
Yeah, so after this, they do their Last of Us multiplayer project. Would Uncharted 5 be what you would want from Naughty Dog?
No, from Naughty Dog, I still want a new IP. I think that's what we need from them. I think I want something from them that is different, and I don't know what direction that would be. I imagine it's still going to be third-person shooting oriented. That's fine. Give me a sci-fi Naughty Dog game. Give me a space Naughty Dog game. I think give me something that's a little less grounded, and I would be very, very curious to see what they could do with something like that. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to look it up right now. I believe they tweeted some weird something the other, like a month or so ago that looked like it had some concept art or something it might have even been in The Last of Us Part 1 remake that they had some like weird space picture, and people are kind of starting to think that that is what they kind of tease what their next project is, because famously with Uncharted 3, they had a newspaper in the bar scene that showed the clickers from The Last of Us. Nobody caught it. Nobody knew what that was. So it'd be weird if they were kind of as on the nose with it and did the same thing. But yeah, man, I think science fiction Naughty Dog would be awesome.
Yeah, I'm with you. I know the movie kind of brought new life into this franchise again, so I wouldn't be shocked if Sony wants it addressed again, just with the adaptation of The Last of Us, that this is going to be coming up a lot. So I'm curious as to whether they would do an Uncharted 5. I wouldn't be upset if it was just as long as it's new characters. If Uncharted 5 is where they go next, and it's not Nathan Drake, not Elena, not Sullivan, but equally engaging characters, equally wild world jumping and all the other stuff that the franchise is known for, I'd be down, because I really did enjoy Lost Legacy. So I wouldn't be opposed to new characters, new setting, but the same DNA.
I think what is probably we're going to see is, companies and developers are staffing up, right? They're trying to get multiple teams going at once because games take so long. So obviously if Naughty Dog wants something, I'm sure Sony's going to give it to them. So I would hope that they would have maybe multiple teams going, to kind of get some of those things, the Uncharted's and whatnot still being made, but have like their lead team working on something new. Here's the hoping at least, but I don't think it would be Uncharted 5. I think whatever it is going to be a reboot of the franchise, whether it's Uncharted : something, or if it's maybe even a complete title change, but the same, story. So I don't think it would be Uncharted 5 though, because you'd have to have Drake in it if you did, and I don't see that happening, but
sure.
It's good stuff, man.
All right, well, happy 15th birthday to Uncharted.
Yay. Yeah.
All right, moving on. Final topic. Let's hear it, John.
All right, it's time, Nick. It's time after disrespect. Disrespect. We have to bring it back. We have to do it right. All right.
Gosh.
And as you guys could kind of tell earlier, I am bouncing around right now. I am not really finding something to settle in. I've tried Cyberpunk lately. I'm still playing Far Cry 6, but I'm getting to the point where it's like, do I want to keep going? Or, because obviously we all know Far Cry is Far Cry and it's going to be the same thing for the next 20 hours, or do I pick something new? So, Wheel of Destiny time, friends. All right.
Oh, gosh.
I've got 6 games that I've decided to put on here, and we're going to spin the wheel, and we're going to see what's going to happen. All right?
All right.
All right, so I'm going to go through the games here. Tales of Arise, right? I want to, that's obviously going to make the list. I want to maybe keep going with that. Far Cry 6, I'm throwing back on there too because I do enjoy it. It's just, should I be playing something else? And then we're adding Chicory to get through that. I am putting a Plague Tale back on there because from the little bit that I did play of that, a month or so ago, I really did enjoy it. I just, something else came out and I got distracted, of course, as you guys are probably starting to see a trend of. And then I have Disco Elysium because I cannot shake that game from my brain. I just can't do it. I have to see this game, whether I just watch a fucking walkthrough the whole time or not, but like I just can't not get that game out of my head. And then lastly, and you're going to love this one, Nick, do I go back into Deathloop to get the Platinum Trophy? I'm putting that on there as a game as well.
Wait.
Oh, you're guessing?
Where's Death Stranding?
No, Kojima will never be allowed. It's gonna be Deathloop just because it's half of the name.
And what are the rules here? Are you locking yourself into this game, or it's just you're gonna make a increased effort to focus on this game and then see where you land?
I am locking this in. If it's anything, I'm locking it in. If it's not Chicory, I might supplement whatever it is with Chicory because it's a shorter game. Does that make sense?
Okay.
If there's just like a day where I come home and I'm like, I don't want to clear another fucking bandit camp in Far Cry, I might pop on Chicory. But I'm gonna stick to it. Yeah, I want to stick to it because I'm starting to, God of War's coming out, and then as soon as then Callisto Protocol, then Resident Evil 4 remake, then Dead Space. So I gotta get going, man. I gotta get some of this shit done. So.
Oh man, if you hit Tales of Arise, good luck, bud.
I know, and weirdly enough, that's the one I want. So we'll see. All right,
oh
drum
boy,
up,
here
drum
we
up,
go.
please.
All right.
All right, we are spinning. I'm gonna close my eyes too and wait till I hear some celebratory things.
Oh boy. Death Stranding?
Disco Elysium. All right, I'm doing it. I'm fucking doing it. All right, here we go.
This is exciting because I'm with you. This is the greatest game of the generation, as we've been told.
I've been told, man, and every single person that does it. I think what I have to do with this is I'm gonna have to at least open up a text walkthrough of just you go here, and then you do this, and then you do this until I get the rhythm. We always get that rhythm of a game, and once I can get that, I think I'll be fine. But there's just so much in the beginning where it's you have I think it's 16 or 24 different parts of your brain that can be characters, and there's just so much going on. So I'm kind of excited too, man, because I feel like I can't disrespect the wheel twice at least. If this game was made by people who have Stalin's picture in their office, so I don't want them coming after me. So we'll see.
Is this, do you think, a remote play candidate? Do you think you could play this remotely?
Ooh, yeah. I don't see. There's no combat. I don't see why not.
Yeah, I'm curious if that's possible.
I've actually been thinking of looking into a backbone because on Sacred Symbols, Colin just got one and he loves it. He's like, I just use it to play my turn-based games, my short little pixel-based things, and it works perfectly if you're in the same house at least. So, it's kind of counterintuitive because I have a Switch, but that might not be a bad thing to get. Yeah.
Well, as you had mentioned when you talked about the backbone, that the iPhone might move to USB-C, which they did not.
Oh yeah, idiots.
So at least you can use the backbone as long as you at least up until the iPhone 14 it's usable. So
good call. All right, well there we go.
Awesome. That is 6 things. Not a very exciting week, but we brought it. We brought 6 things.
Hopefully it was a little entertaining.
Yeah, a little different from our usual conference-filled pace. So
yeah,
that's nice. All right, what song are we leaving them on? I'm curious on this one.
So when I opened Tales of Arise for the first time, it immediately goes into the intro song, and I gotta admit, I just started laughing because it hits you like a fucking ton of bricks, where it's the most Japanese crazy, anime song you've ever heard, and it is called Hibana by Kankaku Piero, and so enjoy. It made me laugh. I don't know if it'll make you laugh either because you might need the context of the game, but it's some pure Japanese goodness. Enjoy.
Cool. All right. Well, just have you got any teases for next week?
No.
Other than more Disco Elysium?
I really hope that I can come next week with some new things to say. I got a pretty busy weekend ahead of me. I'm actually going to go check out the Michigan State football game tomorrow with some buddies. So that should be cool. That's where I went to college, so it's gonna be nice to get back there. So probably won't have a lot of time tomorrow, and then Sunday I might have to go visit some family. We'll see, but I would love to take a big bite out of disco.
Yeah. Well, next week is the last week of September, which means we should probably be getting the announcement of all the PlayStation Plus essential and extra games to distract you even more from Disco Elysium.
I'm sure buying a physical game again. There's no point.
Yeah, and so we'll be moving into a new month, so maybe we'll peer into all the October games. And then I still plan on checking out Spiritfarer and beating Chicory, so there might be some updates on that front. So
nice.
That is it. We will leave you guys to your glorious weekend. We hope you enjoy it. And again, we thank you for listening to us. So enjoy the song that John picked. And if you don't like it, send your hate mail to PlayStationPalspod@gmail.com. So
attention, John.
Yeah, attention, John. And then also, you cannot do that and not suggest a song that you like. So
perfect.
That's only fair. So, all right. So that's it. We'll see you guys next week with 6 more things. Bye, guys.
Yeah, just like the flowers that bloom and fall, repeat over and over again. 傷ついて傷つけて繰り返しそれでも僕ら